Welcome to Park Life, where we bring you all you need to know about Saturday's game against Grimsby Town.
Far post, and then the shot's gone in. A real bobbler.
Was it around now? The shot comes in. That's an Arsenal save. Williams overcomes the cross, and it's 2-0. It's Lee Martin who snapped it past the goalkeeper.
Exeter City come into tomorrow's game on the back of a 1-1 draw at Newport County. That stretched the unbeaten run to 13 league games, and they can break a club record if they avoid defeat on Saturday of 14 league games unbeaten.
It's been turned in by Martin. Lee Martin's fourth of the season. Scores for the second time in a week. The baby goes down, penalty. It's Abrahams, it's in.
Speaking about that unbeaten record, manager Matt Taylor said it would be some achievement if the players managed it, but the focus was just on getting the points on Saturday.
To equal it, to go for 13 games is really impressive. To get the 14th game would be a big achievement. But all our focus is about picking up the points Saturday. It won't be easy. We know what we're up against, or we've got an idea of what we're up against. But that'll be another sort of notch ticked off if the players do achieve that. And it's not just this group of players. Obviously, there was 3 games at the back end of last season. But it's an added pressure, but one we've got to look forward to, and that's testament to the boys.
The Gates Committee have reported that attendances at St James's Park are up this season, and the fans have really got behind the team in recent matches against Leyton Orient and Port Vale. We spoke to Jake Taylor about the importance of this.
Since I've come back down here, it's been brilliant. It really does spur us on, and hopefully so far this season we've given them plenty to cheer about, and hopefully there'll be many more games this season which we're going to need them in.
Don't forget Ricky the Hitman Hatton, probably one of the best welterweight boxers of all time, certainly Britain's best. Some fabulous stories. He's going to be doing a talk up at Exeter University. Be sure to get a ticket, because that is going to be a fantastic night. Well, it's a sad day here at Exeter City, because it is Ben Strange's last Park Life. He's going on to pastures new. He is joining Brentford to cover their B team mainly, but you also have some first team duties as well. Just tell us a bit about that, Ben.
So yeah, new role. I don't know how many of you know about Brentford in terms of their system. It's slightly different to Exeter City. From 2016, they decided to stop the academy project, and they brought in a B side, which kind of acts as a 23s and a squad to really kind of develop. So yeah, it's working with them, hopefully doing a fair bit of travelling all over Europe and things like that, ideally. And yeah, so similar job, but just a different team.
And of course, Brentford have taken some of Exeter City's best talent before in Ollie Watkins. We have actually got a sell-on fee for Ben as well if he goes on to pastures new from Brentford. But we wish you all the best with the move. I just want now to touch on your time at Exeter City, because it's a good opportunity to reminisce about seasons gone by and maybe your favourite moments. Can you just pick out first of all your best away game? What springs to mind?
Best away game. I think my best away game was probably the semi-final of the playoffs up at Carlisle.
Yeah, very good, that one.
3-3 draw, and it was a game that we came away from, probably said we should have won, but just for the game and the fact I think it was actually probably the biggest game I ever covered in terms of from the start. But yeah, it was such a good game, and then you kind of a roller coaster of emotions, and then you obviously it leads into the game at St James Park, which is obviously incredible.
Yeah, I'm just going to pick out now your favourite moment from St James's Park. I don't know if you might have already touched on it, but what would you pick out from your favourite moment?
Jack Stacey was probably the biggest moment that obviously sticks in the memory. I remember sitting in the old grandstand and watching that, and it was just an incredible moment, wasn't it, to go from that point where you're kind of ready to post, oh yeah, we're going to Wembley, and then suddenly you draw in, and then for Jack to pop up and score the goal like he did, I'm sure it was a big memory for a lot of City fans. Other than that, Hiram Boateng's goal was obviously a special moment, and then the Lincoln semi-final as well, Ryan Harley's goal. So yeah, there's so many moments over the years. I mean, I think my first game was 2015-16, and we watched the highlights back of that recently, and it was a 1-1 draw with Notts County, and it probably was one of the worst games actually, because there wasn't too many chances. But yeah, it's been a great roller coaster covering Exeter City. We've been to Wembley twice. It's not quite happened. It's typical. I'm leaving, and suddenly we're top of the league.
Yeah, well, hopefully that continues, and hopefully we, all the best with Brentford, and hopefully you succeed there. Just going to touch now on to Saturday's game against Grimsby. You were at the previous game at Newport. What did you make of that performance? I
think we said in the car on the way home, perhaps that performance last season we may have come unstuck and maybe would have lost.
We did 2-1, didn't we?
Yeah, so if it was that sort of game, we would have lost it. So a 1-1 draw, I don't think too many teams are going to come away from Newport with 3 points. So to get a point in Newport, it was a real battling performance. The first 20 minutes actually we were brilliant, and we got the first, and it was like, okay, maybe we could go on and get a second and a third, but you just saw Newport begin to come back into it, and they made it a very physical game, and they stopped us playing. But to be fair, we defended and we stood up to it. I know Tom Park's probably a bit unfortunate in terms of the penalty. He's gone to clear it, then he slipped, and then he's kind of just making over it, and then suddenly the Newport player kind of just essentially goes over him, doesn't he? And it's a penalty. But to be fair, after that penalty, we weren't really, they weren't creating too many chances against us. So 1-1 the fair result, and it takes us into the Grimsby game. We're still unbeaten, of course.
Yeah, 13 games, league games now unbeaten. We have lost that Carabao Cup tie, but that actually equals a club record. And we spoke to Matt Taylor at the press call about this. It's quite some achievement, isn't it?
Big achievement. I think obviously the last time we weren't 13 games would date back to 1986, didn't it? So it goes to show these sort of things don't happen all the time. Matt's obviously got the squad playing the way he wants them to play. He's brought players in that he wants. I think going forward, it's just a case of continuing that, and obviously it's going to end at some point, and it will be a shame when it does. But I think Matt will be very, very pleased with how things are looking.
I want to touch a little bit on Grimsby. Inconsistent of late. They've had that defeat at Chelsea in the Carabao Cup. How much do you think that will affect things on Saturday? Because obviously the calibre of opposition, we all know what Chelsea can do in terms of create and score chances.
It's difficult to look into that game, I think, to see where Grimsby are. I think they made 4 changes that night. Obviously, a big trip down to London. I think it's still 3 or 4 hours from Grimsby to London. Then they would have obviously got back late, it's kind of early Thursday morning, probably 3 or 4 a.m. And then they're looking at doing their kind of prep work, and then suddenly they're coming down to Exeter. So it's a lot of travelling for them. So hopefully that plays in City's favour. I remember the game out here last season when we had all those shots, and you'd imagine if we can create half as many chances as we did then, we'll be all right.
Yeah, I suppose it's a case of they've had all that travel, and if Exeter City can start fast, the crowd can get behind them. All of a sudden, that's maybe when you put a bit of tiredness in the opposition legs.
Exactly, and I think Matt's alluded to already, wanted to get the park bouncing, and obviously he says that the crowd feed off the players, and it works both ways. So a fast start, really get the crowd up, put Grimsby under pressure and create chances, because we've certainly been creating so many chances in recent games. I fully expect us to continue to do so.
Just push you now for a score prediction.
Score prediction, so I won't be here. So I think, I know, but I just think I'll go for a 2-0 win.
Okay. Well, all the best, Ben, and that's it from Park Life.